All right, good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started here. It's 11:30. My name is Nick Lucchetti. I'm a meteorologist here at the Raleigh office, and I want to welcome you all to the routine weekly briefing here on Monday. And this briefing will cover the period today, April 24th through April 30th, this Sunday. So before we get into the weather pattern for this upcoming week, I just wanted to remind everyone, that the KRAX radar is still out for a upgrade that's been they've been doing here for the last week. So they started around April 17th, and they're making great progress. They just need to finish up some additional wiring and do some calibration, but it continues to be on pace to return to service by May 1st. So there's a chance that it could come in a little earlier than that, which we'll obviously update on our social media platforms if so. But we are making good progress here. The technicians are to have that install finished by May 1st. So in the meantime, again, just a reminder that while the KRAX is still down, we do have surrounding sites, Blacksburg, Morehead City, Columbia, Wakefield, Wilmington, and Greenville, Spartanburg, which you can access, as well as the terminal Doppler radar here in Raleigh. And the Charlotte airport also has a terminal Doppler radar that you can access as well. But again, yeah, looks like we're on pace to have that back on May 1st. So that's good news here. All right, so now we'll hop into the weather for the upcoming week. So this is just the pattern. Y'all have seen these plots before, but as you can see out there today, it's pretty nice weather. We're expecting dry and cool conditions to continue today and through Tuesday, as high pressure over the Appalachians moves east over off the coast through Thursday. Through Tuesday. So with that high pressure nearby, we're expecting dry and cool conditions to continue the next 2 days. And with that, we could see some decent radiational cooling tonight. So some of our sites across the Piedmont could dip into the upper 30s, and with that, we could see some patchy frost in our rural areas across the Piedmont. So I'm not expecting any widespread frost or anything like that. But if you are in those areas, you might want to, take some action to protect sensitive plants, especially if you're located in those rural areas. So with that, again, today and tomorrow should be pretty cool and dry. But as we get into Wednesday and through the end of the period through Sunday, it does look like we'll see cloudy conditions and some periods of unsettled weather return as a system develops across the south. So this is Wednesday. You can see we have a system starting to develop across the south that'll eventually lift up through the deep south before scooting offshore later this weekend. So with that, on Wednesday and Thursday, it looks like we're looking at probably more so just some periods of really light rain, nothing incredibly measurable or anything like that. But as we head into Friday, it looks like the models are starting to get a little better agreement, perhaps with some steadier and maybe some heavier rain possible on Friday, as you can see being depicted here on this lower left panel. We could, as that low kind of rise a little bit closer to the area. Still some details to work out with that. I'll talk about that a little bit more as we progress through the slides today, but it looks like, again, Wednesday and Thursday look to be pretty light rain, not much measuring, and then perhaps on Friday into Saturday it looks a little bit wetter. Then for the rest of Saturday, it looks like we might have a short lull in the rain, and then by Sunday a stronger system looks to develop over the Great Lakes, and an associated cold front perhaps will produce and bring more rain potential to the area. So again, nice day today and tomorrow, so get on out there if you have time, and then turning increasingly more unsettled as we approach the weekend. The good news for this period is that temps will be mostly below normal, mostly in the 60s for highs throughout the period, perhaps increasing into the lower 70s as we get into the weekend period. So that is the pattern for the upcoming week. So overall, any of the rain that we're expecting Wednesday through at least Friday is what's being shown here. Looks to be pretty light overall. Again, on Friday we might have some steadier and heavier rain, but overall the amount of rain that we're expecting is nothing too extreme or anything. So here we just have the accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 5 days. You can see today and Tuesday are dry across the area. Wednesday and Thursday we have some, again, light rain, anywhere maybe up a couple hundreds to up to 1/10 of an inch possible those days. As we get into Friday, the current forecast then shows, you can see some of these heavier amounts starting to show across the area. But in total, over this 5-day period, and most of that looks to be mostly on Friday, we're looking at forecasting, at least as of now, upwards of 3/4 of an inch to an inch in total over that period. So generally looks like light rain, and perhaps on Friday maybe we'll get some heavier rain rates. But it looks like overall, some of that the guidance tends to favor areas to our south and offshore with the really heavy rain rates. So we'll see if that continues to be the case over the next several days. So over the next 3 days, obviously makes sense today and Tuesday. This is the Weather Prediction Center. They have their excessive rainfall outlooks for flash flooding potential. You can see that we're not outlined in any risk for that over the next 3 days. I will note that on Friday into Saturday, we are in their experimental day 5. Most of our areas highlighted by a marginal risk for some isolated flash flooding possible. But there's still some details to be worked out. So we'll be monitoring that here. Again, that'd be on Friday when we have that steadier rain coming in, perhaps. There could be a marginal risk for some isolated flash flooding, but still need to work out some details. But we will be monitoring that here as we approach this weekend. But for the next 3 days, there's no risk for any flash flooding. And this next slide's from the Storm Prediction Center. This is the severe thunderstorm potential, and you can see that for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and into these later periods, the potential for any severe weather is there basically is none. So again, looks like these events appear to be mostly stratiform rain in nature, but we'll continue to monitor as we get closer this weekend. But as of now, I'm not expecting any severe weather. So so that's the next 7 days. So if, we're just going to look really quickly a little bit beyond the 7-day period. So here we have, courtesy of the Climate Prediction Center, their 8 to 14-day temperature outlook on the left panel here, and then the 8 to 14-day precipitation outlook on the right panel here. And this is valid for the period May 1st through May 7th. So you can see that there's a pretty solid signal, perhaps for some below normal temperatures in that period. And here on the bottom we have for our climate sites, Greensboro, Raleigh, and Fayetteville. You can see that normally during this period we typically see highs starting to get into the upper 70s and around 80 in Fayetteville, and lows are typically in the mid 50s, so lower to mid 50s. So it looks like there's a decent signal that we could see perhaps in that period, the first week of May, some below normal temperatures, keeping with the cooler pattern that we're seeing this week. And then if we look at the precipitation outlook during that period, it looks like for those across the western parts of the state, there's perhaps a signal for slightly below normal precipitation chances. And then for those east of Raleigh, looks to be about average or near normal. So that's just looking ahead here for the first week of May. Okay, just to do a quick summary, and then I can take some questions from y'all if you have any. Overall, again, today and tomorrow should be really nice days, cool and dry conditions. Again, for tonight into tomorrow morning, there could be perhaps some patchy frost that develops across rural areas across the Piedmont. So again, if you're in those areas, you might want to take precautions with any sensitive vegetation. And then as we turn into Wednesday, Thursday, it's going to turn cloudy, and we could see some periods of light rain on those days. And then it looks like possibly on Friday, perhaps some of that steadier and heavier rain could arrive. And then after perhaps a short lull on Saturday, another round of rain will be possible along a cold front that looks to approach and pass through the area Sunday and the Monday. And overall, expecting cooler temps this week. So other than the potential for patchy frost tonight, we are not expecting any hazardous weather in the next 7 days. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for listening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.